Hello, welcome to another episode of Jim's Allotment Garden. This week I'm going to give you a quick update of what's been going on in the allotment, and had a few problems with potato blight, and also we've had a little visitor come, which I'll talk about during the video. But welcome to another episode of Jim's Allotment Garden. So we're just starting the greenhouse. These tomatoes again have grown. I've taken all the tops out now, so just the odd top here and there that I'm just pulling out, but all being well, I should start to get some tomatoes on here. I have got some ripening. There's one there that's going, and we've had probably about half a dozen off this plant down here. As you can see, it's been quite hot again today. 36 degrees earlier today. The grapevine is absolutely loving it. That's where it was last time I showed you on the video. I tied it off just after recording the video, and it's grown from there all the way up to there. So it's not going to be long before I'm going to be through the hole there and on its way up to the roof. This one not quite as fast. It's probably because it's got three shoots on this one, but this one here, it actually looks like it's got 5 shoots on it. But that one's, I think there's some side shoots on there as well. But the one that got snapped off here has got a little shoot coming out of there. I don't know if that's going to carry on growing or what, but I'll have to keep my eye on that. But I think probably these two here are the favourites at the minute. That one's most certainly the tallest. That's up to the label now. The tomatoes over here have continued to grow. This little one at the front here, hasn't really done much. I've taken the rest of the tops out. The cucumber plants are well on the way. They're halfway up the roof now, so they've only just got to go up to there, and they'll be at the top. We've had quite a few cucumbers. I don't know if you can see the back there. There's quite a few at the back over there. You can actually see them better from outside. I'll show you a second in a minute when I go outside. But there's a nice big one over there, so I need to be picking them. We've already had probably about 8 or 9 cucumbers off. The tomatoes have continued to swell, but none are actually turning yet. So what I might do is, as I explained last time, I might put a couple of banana skins in here to try and start to ripen some of them off, so I can start to eat them. I've still not put the butternut squash and the Winterfest squash out yet. I don't know if you can tell from my voice, but I've had a bit of a cold this week, so I've not been up the allotment very much. But so that's a very quick tour of the greenhouse. Chives and everything is pretty much as they were. Outside, the hollyhocks have all come out. As you can see, they look quite nice. So they've started to show, and the challenge pumpkin has got its fruit on there. I don't know if that's the one I'm going to pick as being the one I'm going to leave on, but there is another one forming here, just there. So I'll probably take that off and cut the runner off there, so it'll leave this one to form. Obviously, I only want one on there. The strawberries are pretty much finished. The plants do look quite sorry for themselves at the minute, but because we've had such a dry season, I think the plants have really suffered. And obviously I don't water them whilst they've got strawberries on, because it encourages them to basically encourage fungus and rot and stuff like that. So I'll never water them whilst they're actually fruit. So what I'll do in the next week or two is take all the remaining fruit off if it's any good. If not, I'll give them to the chickens, and then remove any dead foliage or any old straw and stuff like that, and then I'll give the whole thing a really good watering and some food, some plant food, and then I'll basically grow the plants on ready for next year. So the herb border's still mad as ever. The rosemary's fell over, so I need to tie that back up. We've been using quite a lot of oregano over the last couple of weeks for spaghettis and stuff like that, so that's been quite useful. The yellow buddleia's out in flower, and I really do need to get down the ground soon. There's a purple, 2 whites, and I think a yellow and a lilac one there. I've left them to flower so I know which ones are which, because I don't want to put the same colour together. The carrots are still coming through. As you can see, the germination is not brilliant. It's not as good as I was expecting it to be. There's quite a lot of weed in there, so I need to weed all of this out. The chives are, sorry, not the chives, the spring onions are in there, but the rocket, I can see the odd bit of rocket, but there's that much weed in there. I'm not sure what's what. These pots have fell out. Oh, bugger. I'll have to. No, there's another one. No, I'll sort them out in a minute when I finish videoing. Bushes as before. The asparagus is starting to go over now. As you can see, it's starting to look a bit brown. We have had quite unusual weather this year. It's been quite dry and not particularly good for various plants, which is why I've been doing quite a bit of watering. There are the grapevines going out at the back there. I have been watering them once a week, as it's advised on the instructions, but the asparagus is starting to go over, as you can see. So I'll probably cut some of this back in the next few weeks as well. The raspberries today, I've tied them all back. So look, you can actually see down there now, and you can actually see up here as well. So I've tied all them back. All I've done is basically tied them into the, I don't know if you can see the string there, I just tied them all into the metal posts in the middle to hold them all back. Now the fruiting's pretty much stopped. There is a few raspberries left, but by and far the majority of them have been picked now, so I was able to get in there and tie it all back. The onions still doing quite well. I've been watering them every about 2 or 3 days, so none of the rest have run to seed. There's been quite a few weed in there. I've just about managed to get in there and get the most of them out, so quite pleased with the onions this year. The sunflowers are going balmy, so they're about 4 foot tall now. Sweet peas doing quite well, and the nasturtiums as well at the bottom. Another sweet pea there. Sorry, sweet pea. Another sunflower there. The peas are just forming the pods, so I shall be hopefully picking some peas soon. You can actually eat them now as mange too, but what I like to do with these is let them form into pea pods. Then I put them in my kids' sandwich box as a little treat for lunchtime when they're at school. The kale at the back there is starting to grow quite well. Obviously that coffee I put on it last time is starting to take its effect, so they seem to be quite healthy plants. The spinach, again, from putting that coffee on, has seemed to have benefited from that. Again, it's a little bit dry in here, it probably needs watering again later on, but just look at how these have grown. I mean, that's got to be about 4 inches across. It's been really good weather for these, so I need to start eating these. They're just about ready to eat now. So we have had a few, but I'll be. These ones are a bit. These are too close together here. Really, I should have thinned those out. But they need to be eaten up. Sorry, the peas. Second lot of peas here are doing quite well. It's been raining again this weekend, so I've not had to do a lot of watering, but I have been doing quite a bit of weeding. So if you're not doing one thing, you seem to be doing another. So that's the first tunnel. The second tunnel is also doing quite well. This is the one with the calabrese and the cauliflower, whatever you want to call it in. Purple sprouting broccoli is doing quite well. The leaves are looking a little pale, but I think that's probably because the weather's been a bit funny. But we have eaten some of the broccoli already. If you can see, the heads are forming here, so you can actually pick that now and eat it. Just take the top off, and what you need to do is, as soon as they form as the broccoli, so this one example here, you cut that top off there, eat that part, and then you'll get new ones forming from the side. So what you need to do is don't let it go to flower. If it goes to flower, see if I can find one that's slightly more advanced. This one here, as you can see, that one's a bit more advanced, so these are forming into flowers. What you need to do is take that off, so we'll probably eat this today. Take that off, like I've taken this one off, and then the smaller ones behind it will start to form, and the plant will carry on growing and producing the bud. So basically what the plant's trying to do is flower. If you let it flower, it'll just flower and then die off and run to seed. If you keep cutting the heads off, it'll carry on producing the heads, and that's obviously the bit you want to eat, so that's the best way to do it. This is still, even though we've still got some brown leaves and yellow leaves on underneath, I still think this is doing quite well on this side, the purple. So I shan't do too much to that at the moment. Make sure the sunflowers don't get caught as I shut the door. There's the catch, here it is. So, the courgettes are just starting. You can see that one there, little courgette there. These sunflowers are picking up. The sweet peas have been doing really well. This one in the middle seems to be winning the race at the moment. I've been watering these every other day, but the scent that you get from them is really nice. The one thing you need to watch with these is, see, that was a flower there, yeah, that will form into like a little pea pod, so don't let that happen. As soon as the flower's finished, pull it off, then it'll carry on growing and flowering there. Because obviously, again, just like the broccoli, what it's trying to do is flower and produce seed. So if you let it produce seed, the plant will think it's done what it needs to do, and then it'll die back. So if you keep pulling the seeds off, it'll carry on growing and producing flowers. So the potatoes, I've been through with my wife, and I've taken out by far the majority of the weeds in there. They are starting to die back. Now in the next couple of weeks, what I will do is cut all of these tops off, because basically at this point of the year, about mid to late July, the potatoes aren't going to get any bigger than they already are. So because of various reasons, the best thing you can do is cut the tops off to about an inch above the ground, and then just dispose of all the tops. I did find a little bit of potato blight down this side earlier today, and I did a quick video explaining how to deal with that. One thing you need to look out for with potatoes, particularly in July, is when the leaves start to go yellow and you get these dark patches on the leaves. Just look underneath the leaf and make sure that there's no sort of furriness or greyness to the underneath of the leaf. So that's perfectly natural, that's what should happen. The leaf should go brown like that. If you're not sure, you can always take the tops off at this point, because the potatoes aren't going to grow any bigger. But always check out for if there's any fur underneath. On the other hand, if you see healthy leaves like this, healthy green leaves, and you check underneath, you can see a grey sort of furriness. This is called potato blight, and this is an airborne fungus which will affect your potato leaves like this. And what you need to do in the case that you find it on your potatoes, you need to remove immediately any affected leaves on the plant, put them in a plastic bag and dispose of them in the bin. I've also spotted on my neighbour's potatoes, there's also some present. Now this is a fungus if it rains and this fungus gets washed into the ground, it will attack the potatoes. So what you need to do is, if you see this on your potatoes, immediately remove the leaves. You can see there's like a greyness at the bottom of that leaf. You need to remove any affected leaves, put them in a bag and get rid of them. So I've cut off all of the affected parts. It can also affect the stalk. I don't know if you can see that, but there's like a fungal infection on the stalk. The important thing to note is try not to touch any of the healthy plants, because obviously you're going to have the spores on your hands as soon as you've done it. So what I suggest, oh, there's one more there, is as soon as you've got all of the tops off that have been affected, wash your hands thoroughly and your arms to make sure you've got all of the spores off yourself, and you need to keep a close eye on the rest of the plants. If you do find that it's spread completely across your potatoes, the best thing I can advise you to do is cut the tops off at ground level and completely take the tops off the potatoes, so you know, remove everything above ground level and dispose of it. It's important that you dispose of it because basically you don't want the spores to go into the ground, because that will affect your potatoes in the ground and ruin your crop. So I've cut off everything that I can see is affected, and over the next few days I'll just come up and check that it hasn't spread any further and there isn't any other plants that are affected. If I do find that, I'll also cut them back, and obviously if it does get too bad, I'll just completely take the tops off the potatoes and take them down the tip. Last note on potato blight. I don't know if you've noticed, but tomato leaves are very similar to potato leaves. That's because they're of the same family of plants, and tomato plants are just as susceptible to potato blight. In exactly the same way, if you get it on your tomato leaves, strip the leaves off immediately and dispose of them. About 3 years ago, I actually got potato blight quite badly in this greenhouse, and I had to basically destroy every plant. I had to take all the plants out and remove all the soil and basically wash it all out with soap and water to get rid of all the spores and everything. So if you are unlucky enough to get it inside your greenhouse, you need to be really vigilant and make sure that you take all of the affected leaves off. If there are potatoes near your greenhouse that are affected, I would suggest closing the windows that are closest to it, because it is airborne, or can be airborne, and obviously as much as you can, because if it's warm you need to open the windows, and just any remote signs of blight on your tomatoes, then immediately get rid of any foliage, etc., and plants that are affected. So the beetroot, it's not doing too badly. I've basically weeded halfway up, that far end there. I need to get through that and get the weeds out. But the parsnips are doing quite well still. I've not been watering them. Obviously what you want to do is not water them, because you want to encourage the roots to go downward. The Swedes and the beetroot, I've been watering them sort of every other day, just to make sure that they've got some moisture if it hasn't rained. The rhubarb is starting to come back. As you can see, there's some fresh growth on there. There's a bit of bindweed in here which I need to sort out. That's another little job when I get 5 minutes, to pull all that out and get some weed killer on it. The beans are doing really well. I've had the earliest beans this year I think I've ever had. We've already had a couple of meals off. Here you go, there's one falling there. We picked probably a couple of saucepans full a few days ago, and there's loads more coming. So this side was the first side to go in, and then these were the later ones. Again, I've been taking out the tips off the top, like this one here. Just want to pull that off so I get some more side shoots out. And I have been noticing that there's been quite a few more side shoots than I normally get. So this one here needs to go up there. That's it. And then I'll just take the runner out of there. Sorry. There you go. So that's been doing all right. kohlrabi is coming on quite nicely. It's about 4 inches tall now. Again, I need to get down here with the hoe and get some of these weeds out. The leeks are starting to pick up, so they're being watered every couple of days. Then at the front, the Swiss chard has come through. There's a few holes in the row for some reason, but because some of these plants you've got here are actually calendulas, so I need to pull them out. And then up here, at some point in the near future, I'm going to put a bit more salad. I'm going to put some lettuce and some more rocket, because the rocket at the top doesn't seem to be doing very well. So the calendulas have done really well. We've got some quite pretty calendulas now, so this front bit here is looking quite nice. It's amazing how much variety you get out of one type of seed, really. But the bees have absolutely loved these. Got some nice big ones, so you can see that's the size of my hand. So unfortunately they only last about 2 or 3 days, but whilst they're here, they're really nice. Again, like with a lot of things, what you do need to do is if you've got any dead heads on your calendula, then take them off. Obviously this one here is just about finished, so that'll be running to seed, so the best thing you can do with that is just take it off, discard it, and then more flowers will come. Some more yellow ones here. So sorry about that, there was a slight delay. We just had a sudden downpour of rain. I was just going to show you that yellow one. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to let this one run to seed, and this one, and then what I'm going to do is put some tape or some mark around the button, so I know that that's yellow, because I'd like to keep some of the yellow seed for my front garden. So the beans are doing really well, as I explained. We've got beans coming all over. Taking out the tops, like I explained in previous videos, is most certainly encourage more shoots to come from the bottom, so I'll be doing that in the future. The corns have had, believe it or not, I've had a good weeding out this week. There's still a few little bits and bobs here and there, but the weeds this week had grown quite madly, and they were almost a foot or so tall, so we've actually filled one of these black bins with weeds from here in the last couple of days. So they've had quite a few weeds taken out, and all of these potatoes here. What I'm going to do here is dig this area from the end of the corns there all the way across. I'm going to dig these potatoes out first, so I'm going to have like a square patch here, and this is where I'm going to put the 2 squashes in the next few days. So I'll put that in for the next video. But it's exactly the same way as I planted the courgettes and the pumpkins before. So that, anyway, the 2 squashes will go here. As you can see, the potatoes, the problem I've had here is flooding. I have actually got land drains running underground here, which will be in a future video. I'll show you what I've actually done here to improve it, but even so, I still get quite a lot of water collecting here. And I think it's probably because my neighbour here is probably a foot or so higher in level, so the water runs off his onto mine in this area here. And because underneath the ground is quite clay, it doesn't drain away particularly well, so I am prone to a bit of flooding here. So just moving up here, as you can see, the courgettes, another one there, if you can see, just zoom in, another courgettes forming there, so they're starting to really pick up now. They've had quite a slow start this year. This time last year I was actually picking courgettes and that, so I'm looking forward to when there's another one there just coming. I'm still battling on with the bindweed. What I'm doing is, rather than pulling it out, I'm letting it grow, and this is obviously the roots are underneath the path. So what I'm going to do is let it grow. The next dry day I get, I'm going to spray that with weed killer, and it'll kill the roots. I'll use a systemic weed killer, which will kill all the roots under the path, etc. Because you basically just can't dig them out. Here are the sunflowers, which are up the side, and there's obviously more sunflowers along here, which I showed you before. They're growing quite nicely now. There's the broccoli in there, so you can see these ones doing quite well. I think they've really benefited from this rain that we've had this week. It's really brought them on quite well. But this is the kind of size that I would expect them to be. Those ones down there aren't quite as advanced as they have been in the past. We've not had fantastic weather this year. It's been quite dry. We've had quite dry, rather than having a steady influx of rain. We've been having very dry, sort of 2 or 3 week periods, and then it's been absolutely belting it down with rain. So there's been no happy medium with the weather this year, really. But I've already shown you the spinach, and that I'll be picking that this week, as I explained. Or starting to pick it anyway. This is the other side of the onions. Quite pleased with the onions this year. They're this side isn't quite as good as over there, but again, these have been watered. But you can see the onions are already probably about 3 inches across. So I'm quite pleased with those. They'll obviously get bigger as time goes on. That's a reasonably small one. Some of them are sort of 4 inches across now. I have had quite a few, because as I explained in earlier videos, I have tried a few different varieties this year to try and find out which one was the best. And so far, out of the ones that I've put in, I think the ones that have been planted in these rows here have been the best. And I bought these from Wilco's. I'm just trying to remember the strain. It's I know the Stuttgart Giants have done quite well, which is this row here. See that one there? That one there is probably that's probably about 5 inches across now. So that one's doing really well. And these here, these are doing quite well as well. But the Turbo is the breed that I got from, not the breed, the strain that I got from Wilco's, and that's these rows here. So I think out of all of them, overall, I think that the Turbo's done quite well, and they were probably the cheapest as well. The Stuttgart Giant I got from the Allotment Society. They've also done quite well. This last row here hasn't done particularly well. That was the I can't remember the name of those, but I'll write that in on the video when I put it together. So, but no, I've been quite pleased with the onions. There's quite a nice number of them. And what I'll be doing as soon as these are ready to pick, which is probably going to be in about 5 weeks' time, 5 to 6 weeks' time, when the tops start dying off, what I'll do is pull all these, lift them up out the ground, and then I'll dry them either in the greenhouse or in the shed till the tops start to turn them upside down, dry them out till the tops start to dry off. And then what I'm going to try and do this year is plait them together to make like the French do, you know, the sort of plait it together. So I'll show you how to. I have done it in the past, but in all honesty, I can't remember how to do it now. But you basically plait about 12 of them together, and then as they dry, if you plait it in the correct way, it shrinks and gets tighter as it dries, and you just pull the onions off as you use them. So they're also quite decorative as well, so that's a good idea if you want to hang them in your kitchen or whatever. But this is the other side of the raspberries. As you can see, we have still got raspberries, but this rain's not doing them any favours at all. The rain really does sort of send them bad. You know, they get quite rotten quite quickly. So what I've found is the ones that are sort of underneath, like that one there, are protected from the rain, and they seem to be all right. But the ones on the top that have got wet just tend to go like that. They just sort of go rotten on the bush. So I found exactly the same thing with the strawberries as well. The strawberries have not done too well. But to be honest, what I should have done is put some straw in, like I said I was going to do. But with one thing and another, I just never got around to doing it this year. And to be honest, I thought because the weather was so dry, I wouldn't have needed to. But in hindsight, I wish I had now. So from now on, I'll be doing that every year. So that's a very quick tour of where we are today. One last little thing, we had a visitor last night who I took a very quick video of. We had a little hedgehog come, and he was just here last night. What I do find in the allotment is I do get hedgehogs, and I do get quite a lot of frogs on the allotment, and I very much encourage that, because both hedgehogs and also frogs will help you in the sense that they'll eat any slugs that they find, because obviously that's part of their diet. So what I do tend to find is in the potatoes, I do tend to find I get a lot of frogs in there. I think it's the right kind of environment for them. So when I'm going through the potatoes, like when I was weeding them yesterday, I'm always quite careful I'm not standing on any frogs. So if you haven't got a pond near you, I'm quite lucky. I've got a pond just over there where the frogs spawn and stuff. But if you find you haven't got frogs in your allotment area, it's well worthwhile making yourself a little pond somewhere. It's not going to be massive, you know, even if you just sink an old barrel or an old bath or an old sink or something like that, so there's some water source in there. The kind of wildlife that you attract to your allotment, it can only be beneficial. You know, you've got frogs, newts, anything like that will always eat the slugs for you, and it's much better doing that the natural way than relying on slug pellets and stuff. Obviously, you know, you need to a certain degree, but always look after your hedgehogs and frogs and stuff like that, because at the end of the day they are most certainly worthwhile having in your allotment. So I'll just show you, I'll just finish off with the video of the hedgehog from last night. So, I hope this episode of Jim's Allotment Garden has been of some use to you. One last tip: this time of year, always make sure that you keep your tomatoes, cucumbers and everything well watered in your greenhouse. It can get quite warm, and obviously they'll dry out quite quickly. And you need to keep them watered, otherwise your tomatoes will either get black spot, where you get like a little black spot underneath the tomato and it goes bad, or your tomatoes will split if they get dry and then you give them water, they'll suddenly expand and split the fruit. So always make sure that your greenhouse is well watered, and look out for the blight, because this is the time of year that you will get it if you're going to get it, but I hope you don't. Anyway, I hope that the information in this episode has been some use to you, and please put your comments below. Let me know what you think. Any feedback is always welcome. Any questions that you might have, please also put them below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can and respond to those. But in the meantime, enjoy your garden this time of year, and I'll see you on the next edition of Jim's Allotment Garden.